Hello everyone, this is Arun and today I'm going to talk about Webhooks feature in UiPath. Okay, so what are Webhooks? Webhooks are nothing but we can describe Webhooks as reverse APIs. So Webhooks can be used to integrate UiPath application with any other application, and orchestrator events can be subscribed by other solutions like BPM or CRM, or even other bots can subscribe to orchestrator events, and they could listen to those events. When I talk about orchestrator events, so there are different kinds of orchestrator events. I can show you in the tool as well, but I'll just show you the documentation so that you get some ideas. So example of the event would be jobs, right? So when a job is created, it would notify the application that a new job has been created. Similarly, if a job is faulted or a job is completed, not just jobs, there are many other categories as well. Like I can better show you these things in the orchestrator, right? So if we go to orchestrator, go to webhooks, and let me show you how to add a new webhook. But I'm not going to add anything new. I wanted to show you what kind of events are there here, right? So if you see, we have events for jobs, robots, queues, tasks, process, queue item, schedule, right? For instance, if a process is newly created and if you want to notify a particular application, then you should check this one, right? Similarly, you can use other triggers or combination of different triggers as well. But for this demo, I have already created a webhook where I have subscribed it for job. As when a job has been faltered, this webhook would trigger some events. Okay, I'll show you that webhook, which is here. You see, I've just checked job has been faulted or job has been stopped manually. If either of these event happen in the orchestrator, it would generate the webhooks. But where would these events uh, end up, right? So that is the question. So to capture all this generated events, we need an infrastructure to get it right. So I have used something called an open source called Pipedream, right? It's pipedream.com. So what is this Pipedream? So I can show you the documentation. This is pretty cool feature product. So Pipedream is an integration platform for developers to build and run workflows, develop any workflow based on any triggers, right? So no server or cloud resource need to be managed. So this is what we need. So we need a listener which would listen to all these events, and we could easily get the information from that listener, trigger a workflow on an HTTP request. So this is exactly what we need. So what we need to do here is, so you need to just sign up and then sign in with your Google or GitHub account. So I have used my Gmail to sign in. So I've already created a source. Let me go there. It's very simple. Just if you just create it, you'll automatically have an HTTP listener configured. So this is my endpoint, and if you see, this is the endpoint. And I wanted to show you one more thing where we have, let me check this one. We would also need a header. Yeah, I think here, yeah. Okay, so we would also need an authorization to, in order to access this endpoint. That is under this REST. rest fields. Okay, so what you need to do is just copy this link and use it in your orchestrator. So if you see, this is exactly the same link what I have copied it from there. So this is how you set up your webhook. So once you have the webhooks ready, so we have subscribed to job faulted and job stopped. If a job is faulted or stopped, then events would be triggered and those events would be captured by our listener here. Okay, I would come back to where we would need to, and these would be, then we would use those events and make a REST call to get those information out of it. So we would need this authorization. I'll come back to this part when we reach that. Okay, so I just want to show you some sample events which were generated. Maybe I need to click here. Okay, so this is a event for job faulted. Similarly, we have other events also. There are around 30 events here, right? Okay, so once we generate the events, I'll show you. I'll create I'll get a demo where I would create these events in real time. And what we are trying to do here is, once these events are created uh, in the Pipedream, then I have built a program which would read these events using an HTTP request and the endpoint for this post request and the header for this request should be we should fill those details from your events. So you need to use these come down with this REST call, right? So we need to go to the REST section and use and we're going to get the last 100 events. So this is the link. You need to use it in your HTTP request endpoint, right? And you also need to update your header with the name, authorization, and value, the bearer value from here, right? So this is how we are going to read these events back into the UiPath. So similarly, these events could be read from any other application as well, from BPM or any Java application or any other external application, right? For this demo, I'm just using the UiPath to show it because most of you are familiar with the same application. So you're just getting the request, and I've written this request into a JSON file, and I can show you how would that look as well, right? Okay, so this would be the sample uh, JSON text, and I'm using this online JSON viewer, which is pretty cool. You can check it out. So there are 30 different events, and if I open a particular event, so we have an ID event, and if you even go down one notch, you'll be able to see this is a job faulted event. And if you want more details on the job, we would get what happened and in which robot this did it happen. So it also has a release key and a lot of process name and many more stuff, right? This is from a single event. Similarly, we have so many other events as well which got generated whenever that event was triggered, right? So this is the JSON format I wanted to show, right? Okay, so why I'm showing that one is, in this program I would read I would get all the events. Then what I would do is I would just extract the data I need and then update it in a queue. So this brings me back to the orchestrator, and I'll show you the queue I have set up for this automation. The queue is called job faulted queue, and I'll show you some of the transactions here. Okay, let me open one of the successful transaction. If you see, this queue has the job ID, the process name, the state, and the information why the fault happened, that's the exception message, and with the robot name, machine. So all this information are from the JSON, right? So what I'm doing is I'm just reading those events JSON and then parsing it, and then I'm just pulling the information out, the ones I'm interested in, and then I'm creating a queue item, right? So once I have this queue item, what I've also done is I've also added a trigger. So this trigger would, I can show you that. So I have a trigger, so which would call this create ticket whenever a new queue item is added, right? So whenever a new queue item is added, I would trigger a workflow. So what that workflow would do is, in real life, if a bot gets failed, we get this trigger, and this monitoring bot would be running in real time in a different server, and it will be monitoring uh, different queues, and whenever this a new item is added to the queue, the bot would be triggered automatically, and that bot would create a ZOHO helpdesk ticket with all the details we captured from the events automatically, right? So this is what I wanted to show you today. I'll show you how it actually works. This is the theory behind what I've done, and I'll show you how it works. Okay, so first thing what I'm going to do is I'm just going to run a job which is going to fail. Okay, so that's what I'm doing now. So let's wait for a minute, and this, see, it failed. Okay, so more details would have the information of why it failed. UI element selector is not available, so it failed, right? Okay, cool. So once this one fails, what would happen is, if you see, the job failure event is triggered. I'm not sure why. Sometimes it doesn't refresh as often. Yeah, so we have the event here, right? So this is the one which got failed. Now let me run my program which would read this event and create a queue item. And once a queue item is created, the queue will automatically trigger the ZOHO work flow. Let's see that in action. Okay, so I'm just running my program, which is just going to read this event. So it's saying there are 32 events, yeah, but I'm interested only in the first event. So this is the job ID, the process name, yeah, this is what we ran now. The state is faulted, yes, and this is the information on why it faulted, the exception message, and the robot name and machine name. So all these informations are extracted, and a queue item has been added successfully. So once a queue item is added, see, if you see, this is a different program which got triggered once a queue item is added, and it's creating a ZOHO helpdesk ticket automatically. So this is a cool way to inform your bot maintenance team whenever an robot is faulted. Okay, so once this ticket is created, we are done with the workflow. Just wait for a couple more minutes. Yeah, you'd see. So this is a ticket title would have the process name, robot name, state, and the mission name, and the job ID with the information. This is pretty, it will be pretty handy for the support team to work on them. Okay, I hope this was helpful, and it should have shed some light on how to use webhooks and listen to events and use those events in real life to improve your automation.